Then we've had a lot of prep work, in my view, towards what we're going to be seeing in 2026, which, in my view, is extremely exciting, despite the red in the market, which is obviously sad to wake up to. But also, after you're in crypto, you know that that's cyclic, right? So you're going to have downturns, and you need to keep pushing through. And especially in the institutional space, RWA tokenization, I think that's something that 2025 was a lot of build time, and we'll see the results this year. So I'm actually very, very excited, despite the bumpy first months of the year. But we have plans such as, for example, DTCC tokenizing by mid-year. Hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And they're going to do it in a specific chain. We're going to, a name that probably many have heard so far in the market.
All righty, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. This is going to be one of those videos that you are not going to want to miss. Starting off, we're going to dive into some ongoing fundamentals that I thought that I'd bring to your attention that were recently announced in regards to Canton, the DTCC, taking a look at those insights as they were just announced today at time of recording on February 24th. Then after we break down those fundamentals, I want to take a look at our institutional tooling, utilizing the software that our team has built over the past 4 years, showing you guys the correlation that XRP still has with Bitcoin to this very day, considering we are currently in a risk-off trading environment. With that being said, starting off here, that was a huge statement from Georgia Palizzari, the Chief Product Officer at Hex Trust. She just spilled the beans where she said that they're actually excited and that billions of dollars, for example, the DTCC is going to be tokenizing by mid-year utilizing a specific chain. Now, we know that Hex Trust became a super validator on Canton Network just 3 weeks ago via a major announcement. So I wonder if Canton Network is the chain that she's describing, considering this huge announcement from the DTCC just today, where February 24th, 2026, they specifically said, we are excited to continue collaborating across the industry as part of our commitment to bridge TradFi and DeFi and build the financial ecosystem of the future. And they've reposted this fundamental from Canton Network from February 24th, 2026, and it says, Digital Asset, in collaboration with the consortium of leading financial institutions, today announced the completion of the 4th set of transactions on Canton. This is the latest set of transactions showcasing continued momentum in cross-border intraday repurchase activity across a growing variety of asset classes. Participants included large major institutions like LSG, Euroclear, Citadel, to name a few. You also have the DTCC, Archax, Intellect EU, Cumberland, and DRW. Following the working group's 3rd set of transactions conducted in December 2025, which featured cross-border intraday repurchase transactions across multiple asset classes and multiple currencies and leveraged tokenized deposits, this latest milestone demonstrates asset diversification and cross-currency momentum and growing participation, where the working group welcomed multiple different regulated digital asset exchanges, brokers, and custodians, and deeper involvement from existing members such as Treasury, LSG, Euroclear, Citadel Securities, and Intellect EU, illustrating continued traction in European markets. So this is just a huge announcement, considering something that the lady from Hex Trust said just the other day at the Consensus CoinDesk live interview. I do wonder if she is mentioning in the summertime, we're going to see an announcement from the DTCC in regards to Canton Network. Now, one thing I will say is that we know directly from the DTCC, this will not be a one chain to rule them all environment. Don't take that from me. Take that directly from Dan Donnie from the DTCC. Mentioned that one blockchain cannot handle all of capital market transactions.
Anyway, these core services can scale out to the level of a market. Blockchain is a very powerful tool in helping it scale to the market. But here's another little trick. Blockchain cannot handle the transaction volume of all capital markets transactions. If you include all high frequency trading and dark pools, you are so far beyond the capacity of blockchain. Well, so now what? How are we going to do that? Well, there may be many blockchains. In fact, there's already many blockchains. Now you have the problem of, what's the total disposition of this asset across all of these blockchains? And by the way, it's not just the sum of all of the positions on, so I have Microsoft shares on this one. Is it the right Microsoft shares, first of all? But the sum on that one and the sum on this one. If shares are moving between those blockchain ledgers via bridges, now you have to account for, not double count, et cetera, et cetera. So you still need those same, even in a fully blockchain enabled world, You still need the overarching view that is, by the way, more than a blockchain in order to get the whole disposition of a security. That's actually what DTCC is focused on. We have built out a tool called LedgerScan, which is really the ledger of ledgers, which allows parties to use whatever blockchain ledgers they want. And by the way, whatever traditional accounting and ledger systems they want to get a holistic ownership as value moves in real time across all of those blockchain ledgers. So again,
So I just wanted you guys to hear that take directly from the DTCC representative themselves to mention they built out a platform so that way banks and institutions and organizations can use whatever blockchain they want. So there's no specific blockchain that is going to rule them all. It's going to be a multi-chain ecosystem. I firmly believe, however, that Canton is going to be at the forefront and one of those choosing chains, which leads me over here into this announcement. As we are starting to see real utility kick in, clear announcements like the one that I just read to you guys shows that Canton Network is being utilized in real time at scale by these financial institutions, which is why I personally believe it is outperforming the entire crypto market right now. This downturn has highlighted something very interesting that puts opinions aside and focuses on the data, which is all we are here to do at CYPRX. We're not specifically segregated towards one chain or one blockchain or one project. We're diversified and we're open-minded. So I said here, before we jump into the institutional tooling and I show you guys the correlation, BTC, XRP, Solana, Canton, just as examples. Looks like XRP is still heavily correlated to Bitcoin's price for now. I do believe, personally, it is my belief, my opinion, that in the future we will see a decoupling, but that is not happening as we speak. I find it interesting that Canton, however, doesn't look even slightly correlated to Bitcoin's price action. This is the start of historical data that will be remembered as the start of the decoupling process where real utility projects, plural, will either be used at scale and start to decouple from speculative trading, or they won't. And we know right now, don't take it from me, take it from other industry leading experts, we are in a speculative trading environment.
More restrained. What changes in how cryptocurrencies behave within the broader market? Do you see a major pullback? These risk assets, are they more of a hedge at that point, or what have you seen in that market?
Yeah. I think, again, because crypto in the grand scheme of things, those of us in the space obviously have been at it for quite some time, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's still very early. And I think at this point, the asset class is still very much traded as like, quote unquote, a risk on asset. And so you'll see more broadly from a macro perspective, it trading in line and as a risk on versus risk off asset. And so when markets sell off more broadly, crypto will sell off accordingly as well. So I would put it.
So that is from an industry leading expert where she goes on to talk about we are still in a risk off environment and the vast majority of digital assets are still speculatively traded, which is what I'm talking about in this specific post. Now, what is driving the current risk off environment? Again, don't take it from me, take it from an industry leading expert. We talk about this so many times over on our X platform where we go on to discuss what is driving market sentiment, what is leading into this risk off environment. We'll get into that here in just a second, but listen to this industry leading expert from the Digital Asset Forum Summit that took place at the very beginning of February.
I'm the CEO and founder of that company. We're a hedge fund, systematic hedge fund based in Cayman. Look, just taking to your point about what's happening in the markets in the last couple of days. I think a lot of what we've seen has been driven by negative sentiment. There's been a perfect storm of geopolitical problems, especially talking about Iran. Trump has been talking about Greenland. And all of these has been caused a lot of instability and uncertainty about what's going on. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is really a lot of technical factors. Once you hit about 75, that's a key support level.
So he goes on to mention the ongoing tensions between Iran, the geopolitical backdrop, Greenland. We obviously, of course, recently had some tariff stir up and uncertainty in global markets around Trump's tariffs and the Congress vote. Now, with that being said, back to this post to finish it off. I said, we will slowly find out which projects will be winners and which ones will be losers. This is a metric in the next 2 to 5 years a lot of individuals will ignore, focusing on instead hype and price predictions, plans and promises instead of actual data. Remember, it is not up to us which projects get chosen, no matter how much we like a project. That is a very important sentence right there to remember. Not all blockchains will be utilized at scale by institutions. It would benefit us as retail investors who have driven the market sentiment over the last 17 years and will no longer drive the sentiment moving forward as institutions start to flood in at scale. It will be an institutionally driven market, not just a retail driven market. It would behoove us as retail investors to adopt the blockchains and diversify into the projects that are intrinsically proving their decoupling somewhat from speculative trading. That doesn't mean not to have exposure to a more speculative crypto asset, but I'm here personally for the utility run because it will be the biggest run in crypto history that this space has ever seen. We don't know the winners yet, and there will be many chains and many crypto assets that survive, but many won't. This, I believe, is truly the start of that process. Like it or not, data is what is important here, not opinion. Over the last 3 months alone, the market has lost over $1 trillion in value. To take you guys over here to the TradingView platform, just to show you guys that this is to be the case based off of actual data. Taking a look starting back at the beginning of December, all the way down to the current lows in which we're trading at now, you can see the market has lost $1.03 trillion. That is a huge number. Coming back over here, I said, over the last 3 months, the market has lost $1 trillion in value alone. That is why this 3-month metric is so important. The 3-month performance measured from the beginning of December 2025 on some top 10 currencies, just as an example, I used XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana, are all down double-digit percentages above 30%. Whereas from the beginning of December, when the market started to lose over $1 trillion in value, Canton is still up over 175%. This just goes to show that the Canton network is actually being utilized at scale by these large institutions, driving utility to the network, which results in a burn mechanism in the token and creates a deflationary environment for the tokenomics, which is why I personally believe that Canton is still holding on to these gains and outperforming the rest of the crypto ecosystem right now. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Canton is the chosen one. I'm just showing you guys metrics to get you guys to understand that we are still currently participating in a speculative trading environment, XRP included. Hopefully one day we see XRP and many other digital assets, utility tokens, decoupled from Bitcoin's price, but right now that is not the case. So let me show you guys that in detail utilizing our institutional software. Heading over to our order flow. So to show you guys the similarities without breaking down all of the order flow in detail, this is the XRP chart on the daily time frame. And I want you guys to pay attention to 3 things just so that way I can show you all with institutional software. This is not my opinion, that XRP is 100% correlated almost to the T of Bitcoin's price. First, I want you guys to pay attention to the buy volume and where it is at. The buy volume is shown to us by the blue bubbles on the charts. And you can see that every single time these blue bubbles formulate trying to break previous resistances or sell walls, they just end up getting trapped at highs. So you'll notice on XRP's charts, all of the buy volume is trapped at highs, which shows that buyers, every single time they make an attempt to push price higher, sellers constantly absorb that buy volume and push price action back to the downside. And this has happened time and time and time again, all the way back going since October, but we're just specifically focusing on the last 3 months. This area here is December's price action all the way to where we're at now. Buy volume constantly continues to get trapped at highs. The second thing I want you guys to pay attention to are these sell walls. All of these sell walls are seller absorption walls where every single time buyers make an attempt to push through these areas. Here is a perfect example where XRP price pushed up into a $2.40 range. Sellers absorbed the buyers. They then defended this area of interest, became aggressive enough to push price action back to the downside. So if we wanted to actually see buyers take control of XRP's price, we would need to see buyers engulf all of these sell walls that currently exist that you guys are seeing. And you can see how much sell volume right now currently exists on XRP's price action. The third thing I want you guys to be mindful of is every single time price action gets pushed back to the downside, notice these green lines. These green lines are buyers that are making an attempt to absorb sell volume, and they constantly get engulfed. Every single time you see buyer absorption lines, sellers are able to overpower them, make new lows in the market, buyers make an attempt to defend, and then they just get trapped at highs, and sellers continue to engulf buyers, overpower them, and engulf all of the buy absorption, constantly pushing price lower and lower. So this is XRP's price action. Now, if we go over and we take a look at Bitcoin's price action, again, utilizing our institutional software, these are tools that our institutional scalper has built for our private community. And now taking a look real quick at the daily charts on Bitcoin. So just like on XRP's price action, the same things you will notice on Bitcoin's price. What did I go over? I mentioned buy volume getting trapped at highs. What do you notice about Bitcoin's price action? You can see all of these blue bubbles constantly getting trapped at highs, or this is where, again, buyers are making an attempt to become aggressive and push price higher. They're failing. Sellers are trapping those buyers at highs and then following through with sell aggression, pushing price back down into lower territory. The second thing to pay attention to are these sell walls. Buyers are unable to break above these sell walls, turn them into support, and push price higher. And every single time we see these sell walls formulate, following that, we see sellers become aggressive, pushing price lower, breaking through the buy absorption walls, and resulting in lower prices. And the third thing, just like on XRP's price action, we have buy walls that constantly get absorbed by aggressive sellers, pushing price lower and lower, resulting in the red sell volume acting as a resistance and the green buy volume failing to act as a support time and time again, both on Bitcoin and XRP's price action. So speculation and opinions aside, this is real institutional data to show you guys that on both XRP and Bitcoin, we have buy volume trapped at highs, i.e. buyers failing to become aggressive enough to engulf the passive sellers that are sitting at highs, defending against these prices and stopping buyers from pushing price higher. We have sell absorption walls that are acting as a resistance, and we have buy absorption walls that are failing to hold and act as a support on both Bitcoin and XRP's price. So I thought that I'd share that with you guys for those of you all that like to avoid the hype, the narrative-driven speculation that exists on the internet and show you guys real institutional insights. I hope that you enjoy that aspect of CYPRX, that we don't give out any over-speculated, hypey theories or price predictions, and we actually show you guys real insights when they matter most. Shout out to this individual here, just as an example. The Raging Scotsman said, so much reality-based logic here. Plus, it's based on solid technical analysis. This man proves what he says is true. Who could want more than that? And for nothing. Sure, if you want the gritty details, only suitable for those willing to commit. So shout out to you over on X. I love seeing motivated individuals like this, as there is an awakening right now, especially with this pullback in regards to which influencers are pumping out valuable content that you can actually take, learn, and make money from versus the people who are just pumping out speculative nonsense. With that being said, as always, many blessings to you guys. If you guys want access to our institutional grade software, you can always head over to CYPRXtrading.com. You can tap in with us in our private CYPRX Discord, get insights directly from our institutional scalper and myself on a daily basis. Many blessings to you guys. If you all enjoyed those insights, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and invest in Canton or XRP or any of the digital assets that we talked about in today's video breakdown. Always do your own due diligence. I have a firm belief that we are entering into a real utility cycle, and hopefully we start to see many other utility coins decouple from Bitcoin's speculative trading price action, which I firmly believe will happen in the near future. But we are all here along for this ride to see which chains win and which ones don't. With that being said, be cognizant, be aware out there, and I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.